So this morning, while I'm waiting for the peace deal of the century, the peace plan of Donald Trump and Jared Kushner to finish up, um, it is supposed to finish up sometime, I guess, this evening. It's a day and a half event in Bahrain. And who knows what might come of it. And as I pointed out, it could be the trigger. It might not be. We don't know for sure. But while we're waiting for this event to finish up, I'm going to ask a question. The two witnesses written about, I believe it is in, yes, Revelation 11, the two witnesses. Were they foretold in the prophets? Now, I'm going to lay out a case that I've been making for quite some time. That everything written in the New Testament, which should actually be read as the New Covenant, is backed up by the prophets, by the Torah and the prophets, by the Torah, the prophets, and the Psalms. While your preacher tells you that the prophets don't matter anymore, and they say this by claiming that, as they say, the New Testament doesn't matter anymore, I remind everyone to go to Revelation 10 verse 7, where it says, and in the days of the seventh trumpet, when it begins to sound, that is when everything that is written in the prophets are to be finalized. So that one passage right there destroys that horrible, horrible lie that the preachers have been telling you, all the Christian preachers have been telling you. And what I want to do is go to, let me go ahead and do screen share before I forget. Go to some of the passages in the New Testament, aka New Covenant, where it backs up what I'm saying here. John 6 verse 45, it is written in the prophets, they will all be taught by Jehovah. Everyone who has heard the Father and learned from him comes to me. Now who's saying this? Yehoshua the Messiah. Okay. Luke 18 verse 31. Yehoshua, not Jesus, not Jesus. The name of the Messiah does not honor the name of Zeus. It honors the name of Jehovah the Father. Yehoshua took the 12 aside and told them, we are going to Jerusalem, and everything that is written by the prophets about the Son of Man will be fulfilled. Okay. This is when he was already raised up from the dead. Now, before somebody goes and takes this out of context, we'll go to King James Version. And he took unto him the 12 and said unto them, behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and all things that are written by the prophets concerning the Son of Man shall be accomplished. Now, does that mean when he goes to Jerusalem, it'll all be finished and all be done? No. Let's go ahead and look at, just to make sure we get context here, Revelation 10 verse 7. I believe it's in Revelation 10 verse 7. If you would read it in with the Strong's Concordance in mind, you will You will see that the word finished, it can mean filling up, rolling over to the next level, finalized. Verse 7, but in the days of the voice of the seventh angel. Are we in the days of the voice of the seventh angel? Well, that last scripture we just read, they most certainly were not. When he shall begin to sound, the mystery of Jehovah should be finalized, just as he declared to his servants the prophets. Oh, so the words of his servants the prophets will not be finalized until the days of the seventh trumpet. So, your preacher should do some studying before they start telling you untruth. Remember the words of Peter, who warned when he said that that the unlearned, they wrest or they twist the words of Paul, just like they do all the other scriptures, and they do so to their destruction. So let's finish up here. We'll go back to the next one. Acts 24, verse 14. This is Paul. I believe it's Paul speaking. Notice that Paul never used the word Christian ever. It is not written in any way that he did. He was very careful with his words. 24 and verse 14. We'll start in verse 10. Then Paul, after the governor had beckoned him to speak, answered, forasmuch as I know that you have been of many years a judge unto this nation, I do more cheerfully answer for myself, because you may understand, and that there are yet but 12 days since I went up to Jerusalem for to worship. And they neither found me in the temple disputing with any man, and neither raising up to people, neither in the synagogues nor in the city. Neither can they prove the things whereof they now accuse me. But this one thing. Only one thing. I confess unto you that after the way which they call heresy, so I worship the Elohim of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law, the Torah, and the prophets. And have hope toward Jehovah, which they themselves also allow. The Jewish religion also allows that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both of the righteous and the unrighteous. And herein do I exercise myself to always have a conscience void of offense toward Jehovah and toward men, that after many years I came to bring alms to my nation and offerings. Now, so what he's saying here is that he believes everything that is written in the Torah and the prophets. Okay. So we read here, you can see in Luke 18, verse 31, Yahushua took the 12 and took, we are going to Jerusalem. And, well, we just read that one. Okay. Mark 1, verse 2, as is written in the prophets. Acts 15, verse 15, and to this agree the words of the prophets. Luke 24, verse 44, he said unto them, this is what I told you while I was still with you, that all things which are written in the Torah of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms. Acts 7 verse 42, in the book of the prophets it is written. Okay. We'll continue with the New Testament here. For the time has come for this prophecy about me to be fulfilled. He was counted among the rebels. Yes, everything written in the prophets about me will come to pass. Matthew 26:56, and all of this that has happened so that the words of the prophets may come true. Luke 24:27, in the beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted the things written in them about himself in the scriptures. Revelation 22 verse 9, and he said, no, do not worship me. I am a servant of Jehovah just like you and your brothers the prophets. And all of those who obey it which is written in this book. All right. So then, that truth that you will find in the New Testament is also written in the prophets. So are the two witnesses written about in the prophets? Let's go find out. First, let's go look in Ezekiel 39 verse 21. Now, those of you who've read Ezekiel 38 and 39, you know where I'm going with this. Those of you who have not read Ezekiel 38 and 39 need to go ahead and make a point to read it, because it explains everything. Now, we'll look at the versions first before we go into a little bit more detail. I will display my glory among the nations. That's the Goyim, the Gentiles, the heathen. And all the nations will see the punishment that I inflict and the hand that I lay on them. So when he sets his glory, when he displays his glory among the nations, it is in a form of extreme punishment. Want to make sure I get that right out in the open for all to see. King James says, I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment, which I have executed in my hand that I have laid upon them. It needs to be made very, very clear that when he sets his glory among the heathen, it will be in the form of punishment. Now we can go to Isaiah 66. And have context. Now, this is, folks, you have to understand this is in the context of Jerusalem, Zion being reborn in a day. Has that already happened yet? No, it hasn't, because there's still the controversy of Zion. Well, we're going to go through the entirety of Isaiah 66. Thus saith Jehovah, heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. Let's go ahead and go to Strong's Concordance here. To anyone who is new to this YouTube channel, I do not use replacement terms for the name of our Father in heaven, because it is an abomination to do so. It is not the Lord, it is Jehovah, just like it says in Strong's Concordance. See that? Read it and learn to say his name properly, or don't say it at all. Like the Jews. They will just say the name. In Hebrew, that's Hashem. Heaven is my throne, or the sky is my throne, and earth is my footstool. Where is the house that you build unto me? And where is the place of my rest? For all those things my hand has made, and all those things have been, saith Jehovah. But to this man will I look, even to him that is poor and of contrite spirit, and trembles at my word, at my speech. He that kills an ox as if he slew a man, he that sacrifices a lamb as if he cut off a dog's neck, he that offers an oblation of swine's blood. Uh-oh. Well, that strikes close to home, doesn't it? Namely, the sons of Japheth. Antiochus 4. He that burns incense to an idol. Oh, now we're talking about modern day Christians. Sunday services. You got your graven image of cross between Apollyon and Zeus up there. Burning the incense before an idol. Right, that's what it says. Incense, frankincense, to kneel before an idol. That's you, modern day Christians. That's you. They have chosen their own way, which means they have rejected the way of Jehovah. And their soul delights in their abominations. What you Christians today do in your houses of worship is an abomination. Kneeling before that idol and burning incense in front of it. They choose delusion, wantonness, capriciousness. Let's look up the word here. See, the word is from ta'alium, ta'alulium. I can't speak. I'm sorry, I can't speak that language. Where a child is capricious, mischievous, but dubious. And then right here, there's the word delusion. So the word delusion does apply. They choose delusion. Doesn't say I will choose their delusions. It says they choose their delusions. And a granary, a storehouse will come in, or they come into a storehouse to call, to proclaim, to read, to testify, to speak, to hear. They accomplished evil, adversity, and chose that which I did not desire. All right, okay? So, hear the word of Jehovah, you that tremble at his word. Your brethren, a brother, hated, so you are a brother that was hated. And they threw you out. Yet they threw you out of the land of Zion for my name's sake. What is his name? Jehovah. They say, let Jehovah be glorified. Or it's right here, it says to be heavy, weighty, or burdensome. See how King James perverts the word? You got to look at these things very, very carefully. They say that Jehovah is burdensome, but he will see to your joy, gladness, and mirth, and those liars, persecutors, will be ashamed. Yes, they claim that Jehovah was burdensome, but he's going to prove them wrong. They're going to be proven to be liars, and they will be ashamed. Now in verse 7, before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pain came, she was delivered. She was delivered of a man-child. Who has heard such a thing, and who has seen such things? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day, or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. So all the children of Zion are going to come back home in the day, in the time of Jacob's trouble, as written in Jeremiah or Isaiah. But he, Jacob, will be saved out of it. Shall I bring to the birth and not cause to bring forth, saith Jehovah? I shall also cause to bring forth. Shall I cause to bring forth and shut the womb, saith Jehovah? Rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad for her. Well, folks, what's going to happen is these idol worshipers who worship a false god on the Sundays are not going to be rejoicing with Jerusalem. They will not be glad. They will be mourning. Exactly what it says in the book of Revelation. And be glad with her, all you that love her. Rejoice for her, and rejoice with her, all you that mourn for her, that you may suck and be satisfied with the breast of her consolation, that you may milk out and be delighted with the abundance of her glory. For thus saith Jehovah, I will extend peace to her like a river, and the glory of the Gentiles like a flowing stream. And then you shall suck, and you will be borne upon her sides, and be dandled upon her knees. As one who his mother comforts, so will I comfort you, and you shall be comforted, not in Rome, and not in Salt Lake City, not in London, not in Washington, D.C., not in Moscow. Did I say not in Rome? In Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem only. And when you shall see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb in the hand of Jehovah. Uh-oh. The hand of Jehovah shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation toward his enemies. Now we get to the point. Getting closer and closer to the two witnesses, folks. For behold, Jehovah will come with fire. That's right. With fire. When judgment first came into the earth, it was with water, Noah's flood. The second great judgment is going to be with fire. And with his chariots. His chariots? What chariots? Well, isn't that interesting? Chariots? What's going to be in those chariots? I've talked about that, and I believe it was 2 Kings 2, the chariots of Israel. Like a tempest. Oh, this says sea. Wait a minute. Kufa, Sufa. Sea. Like a storm wind. Okay, but it means sea. Interesting. Maybe a hurricane. Okay. Like a hurricane, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Jehovah judge all flesh, and the slain of Jehovah shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one tree in the midst, and eating swine's flesh and the abomination in the mouth shall be consumed together, says Jehovah. What does this mean? He's talking about the Gentiles. Let me be honest with you in this regard. The swine eaters from the days of old were the sons of Japheth, and those who were the rat eaters were the children of Ham, the Gentiles. Shall be consumed together, because I know their works and their thoughts. And time will come when I will gather all Goey and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. Well, how are they going to do that? Well, we just read in Ezekiel 39, verse 21, how that's going to happen. They're going to come with anger to try to stop what is happening in Zion. Joel 3, anybody? Bring them all down to the valley of decision, where they shall come and see his glory, and I will set a sign among them. Now look what it says here. And I will send those that escaped unto the nations, unto the Goey, to Tarshish, Pull and Lud, that draw the bow. In other words, warrior nations. Also to Tubal and Yavan, that would be Greece, and to the coastal regions afar off. Is leaving nobody out of this picture. That would be all of Europe and even the United States. Afar off in the distant coastlands. To hear, not that have not heard, no, to hear my report, to see my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Goey. How are they going to, and who are these people? Let's look at this word, escape. All right, those that have escaped out of the nations, not to the nations or unto the it is those that have escaped out of the nations will go to Tarshish, to Pull and Lud, and all the Gentiles will go there. Who are they? Who are these men that are going to show his glory? Let's go to Ezekiel 39, verse 21 again. And maybe I will use New International Version. I will display my glory among the nations, and all the nations will see the punishment I inflict and the hand that I lay upon them. Does it not make it abundantly clear what that means? So, escapees. All right, let's dig a little deeper. Let's go to Joel. Joel 2. Joel 2. Oh, I should go to Strong's Concordance, make sure I get all the definitions right. Then this is once again the restoration restored. And when then Jehovah will be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yes, Jehovah will answer and say unto his people, behold, I will send you corn, wine, and oil, and you shall be satisfied therewith, and I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen. That is exactly what he's talking about in Isaiah 66. It's the same thing. But I will remove far off you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. The utmost sea is the Mediterranean Sea. He's going to die in northern Israel. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he has done great things, or became great. This is Ezekiel 39, folks. Fear not, O land, and be glad and rejoice, for Jehovah will do these great things. In this whole section right here, it says, fear not. He's going to restore to all Israel. And verse 27, and you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Jehovah your Elohim. And nobody else, and my people shall never be ashamed again. Now, and it shall come to pass in the latter part, in the latter days, what it says in the latter part, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. This is exactly what is written in Ezekiel 39. Look at it real carefully right now. Right here. This is the restoration of Israel. Verse 28, then they shall know that I am Jehovah their Elohim, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them into their own land, and I have left none of them there anymore. Neither will I hide my face anymore from them, that's Israel, because I have poured out my spirit upon. Now we know who he's going to pour out his spirit upon. The house of Israel, saith Jehovah Elohim. So when you read Joel 2, where it says, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, it's talking about the people of Israel, and upon your servants and upon the handmaids in those days. And I will show wonders in heaven and in the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke, and the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of Jehovah's wrath come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call upon the name of Jehovah, not the Lord, Jehovah. Learn to say it correctly. And when you pray, make sure you say, holy is your name. Shall be delivered. Oh, wait a minute. Hold it. To slip away? What does that mean, to slip away? Malat, to slip away. Rescue, delivery, escape. Oh, here we go with that word escape. So we go to Isaiah 66. It's a different word, but it means the same thing. Escape. I will send those that escape of them, or those, so it's not all of them. There'll be a couple of them. They're going to send them right back and do something. Where was I? Was I in Joel 2? Yes, I was in Joel 2. To slip away, to escape, who were rescued, who were saved. Okay? shall escape. For Mount Zion and Jerusalem shall be an escape. As Jehovah has said, in the survivors whom Jehovah shall call. And every time I look at that word, the remnant, or Saul read survivor, I think of Holocaust survivors. I can't help it. This is how I think. Every time I see that survivor, I think of Holocaust survivors. So these people in Isaiah 66 are of those who will have slipped away, who escaped from out of the clutches of the Gentiles. But 2 of them are going to be sent back. And what's going to happen? They're going to be sent to all the Gentiles. Now, let me show you something. If I go to one of the other translations, let me see if I can find. Here we go. New American Standard Bible. It says, I will set a sign among them and will send survivors from them. Oh, this is a pretty good translation here. To the nations, Tarshish, Put, Lud, Meshach, Russia, Tubal, and Yerevan, and to the distant coastlands. It doesn't say that have neither heard my fame nor seen my glory. It's going to send them to show him his glory. What are they going to do? And they will show my glory among the nations. We just learned that showing his glory is bringing the hand of Jehovah down hard upon the Gentiles. Now we go back, now that we have context, now we can go to Revelation 11. Verse 1, and there was given unto me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood and saying, Arise and measure the temple of Jehovah and the altar and them that worship therein. Why? Because it was still, the temple was still there in the days of John, of course. But the court which is outside the temple, leave it out and measure it not, because it is given unto the Gentiles. And the Gentiles will tread the holy city under for 42 months. And they did. This is speaking of Titus raping and pillaging and murdering Jerusalem for the 42 months early 67 to late 70. And of course, in retaliation, I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days. This is in retaliation for what happened to Jerusalem. And I will, and if you don't think that that's true, I will prove to you that it is true. Clothed in sackcloth, these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth. In other words, they're coming with the power of Eliyahu. Because Eliyahu said, the Elohim of the earth before whom I stand. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth. They will be able to call fire down from heaven, just like Eliyahu the prophet did. They will prophesy for 3.5 years, just like Eliyahu the prophet did. They have the power to shut the sky, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy. So it will not rain in the days of their prophecy for 3.5 years. They have the power over waters to turn them into blood and to smite the land with all plagues as often as they will. As you see, it's going to be the two witnesses that's written about in Isaiah 66:19. They will be transported to Rome. Oh, I wanted to cover that thing where I said that they're going to retaliate against Rome for what they did to Jerusalem. Let me show you something. Oh, reward her double. Let's see. Let's see. Reward under her double. Hope I can. There we go. Revelation 18, verse 6. Verse 4. See, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. You see, it became the habitation of demons. Yes, Zeus, Jupiter, all the horrible idols of the Gentiles. And it is to this day. And all the nations, all the Gentiles have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich to the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven, from the sky, saying, come out of her, my people. What people? Israel. That's right, Israel. That you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues, because her sins have reached unto heaven, and Jehovah has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you. Double unto her according to the works, and in the cup in which she has filled, give to her double. So reward her even as she rewarded you. Who is you? Jerusalem. Who is her? The one who destroyed Jerusalem. Can you say Rome? It was Rome that destroyed Jerusalem. So now, Revelation 11, these two witnesses, written about in Isaiah 66, verse 19, they are going to show Jehovah's glory upon the Gentiles, upon Rome, and upon all those Gentile nations who committed fornication with Rome. And who are those Gentile nations? Tarshish, North Africa, Tuba. Okay, let's go to New American side version. Yeah, that's the one. Tarshish, Put, Lud, Meshech, Rosh, Tubal, Yavan, and all the coastlands of the sea. That's Europe. Ouch. Not only that, the United States and Central and South America have done it too. So has Australia. Is there any nation on the earth that has not committed fornication with Rome? That is a question that will soon be answered. It's going to be tit for tat. And yes, the two witnesses were indeed written about in Isaiah 66 and verse 19.